So we have with us Rahmi Hussain, who is a young woman in tech, and we move on to her now. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And I understand you've travelled all the way from Cardiff. How long was that?
It took about 2.5 hours, but we did a couple of pit stops.
Okay, that's good.
Aunties, yeah.
So I understand you work in tech. Can you
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that?
So I currently work in cybersecurity and have been doing that for the past 2.5 years. But prior to that, I've always kind of been in tech. Did a couple of years in Apple and then did some technical advisory. But all of that came through my passion through tech and working, studying as well.
Yeah. So in terms of, you say it's a passion that's developed over time. How did that passion come about?
Oh, ever since from when I was young, I've just loved computers. Like, I know from when I was like 11, I really wanted to get into graphic designing. Right. And then I guess that's where my passion from tech started, from doing Photoshop stuff. And then I remember in school when we had to do research about graphic design and a career in there. And I felt like there's not much of an option of graphic design in the market. So then I kind of expanded my career roots and looked into cybersecurity. So that's how I got into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of, the passion started very young. Yeah. So was there support in the school that you were in at the time?
Oh, 100%. It started from primary school where, you know, when you're using Windows 11 on Paint, and then it kind of just excelled from there.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the start of your career in tech. What was that like?
The start was, I would say, I worked in a call centre as a technical advisor, where I would kind of just fix people's Wi-Fis over the phone. Right. And then I really found a big interest in networking. So when I started doing my A-levels, I was looking for a part-time job, and I was kind of fortunate to get a job at Apple as a technical specialist. So I was one of the technicians there for about 4 years. While I was working in Apple, cybersecurity became more of an interest, especially with all the tech and software and hardware Apple has. So I think that's kind of like what pushed me to get to where I am today. And yeah.
Okay. So then moving on from Apple, you found a keen interest in cybersecurity. Yeah. So then what did you do in terms of finding a role in that sort of area? Or was it something that you had to reach out to other people to help you get that?
So I went to uni and I studied cybersecurity in university. So while I was in my third year, I did a placement with Ministry of Justice. And whilst I was doing that, it was helping me gain experience. Right. And then I started reaching out to people from there, especially in LinkedIn. LinkedIn was my holy grail. Reaching out to people, showing them my CV and asking them for advice. What can I do to get myself a career in cyber? Yes. And a lot of the times I booked meetings with them and they'd give me genuine advice, which really did help because it did help me get to where I am. And then I guess in my final year of uni, I would say probably 6 months before my dissertation was due, I was heavily applying to loads of grad jobs. Failed a lot, but it was experience in terms of interviews. Yes. And then eventually I managed to get my first job, like corporate job in cyber.
Mashallah, that's great. You speak about failure. Now, of course, because of those rejections, you've learned quite a lot. Yeah. Is there a key message that you would pass on to the youth that are watching in terms of what you learned from that journey?
100%. Like, I wouldn't say it's a failure. It was a failure in terms of failing the interviews.
Of course, that's what I meant.
It was like, it was always an experience because each time I did an interview, I knew how to prepare for it more, so which allowed me to get better at it each time. So then when it came to landing the job that I got, I kind of just smashed it, even though I felt like I smashed other interviews. Yeah. It just kind of helped me prepare again and again for each interview I did. So even if you don't know what's going to be the outcome of the interview, just do it as an experience,
Of course. So moving forward from that, of course, you kept going on and on and on. Yeah. So then you ended up in the role that you got at the end. So what was that role?
So the role that I got was working in data loss prevention. Right. So although it's not necessarily cybersecurity, it's still heavily to do with preventing data from leaking the company. So there is like connections to it. But that was the first ever role I got, and I'm still within the same company, but I've just kind of, the company that I work for, very fortunate, allowed me to kind of work my way up and allow me to experience different roles as well.
Of course. What would you say it's like being a woman in tech, or cybersecurity rather?
There's always the ups and downs.
Yes.
Ups definitely being a standout candidate.
Yes.
So being one of many of the ethnic women in the company that I work for, it's great being the face of women in tech, and being able to advocate for that, because I'm a massive advocate for women in tech, especially ethnic women in tech. So if I can get my word out there and do what I can to inspire young women to consider a career in tech, then that would be great, because I would say 2 years ago, I did mentorship. So I went to sixth forms in Cardiff and actually got designated a student that had an interest in IT. So I would do one-to-one sessions with them and talk about how they would want to achieve what they want to achieve in university.
Of course. And speaking about that, you gave support back. So what would you say was your support system in terms of this career in tech or cybersecurity? Did you have support from home? What was it like?
I think most of the support did come from university, actually. They were very big on wanting more women in tech. Yes. So it was actually really a warming feeling, knowing that they were pushing us. They were always getting us to kind of get involved in different conferences and doing. So we have things called hackathons. So getting involved in that, meeting different people. So I would say university was definitely one of the biggest push that I've had, because if it wasn't for uni, I don't think I would be where I am.
Yeah, no, of course. I was going to say, it's so important to be on LinkedIn and look around 100%. For opportunities on university. So if it's not LinkedIn, look around your university. And if it's not around university, then reach out to people in your community. And of course, this is a platform where we speak to different guests. And I'm so glad that Rahmi is here to talk to us all about it. But from that, how do you maintain a work life between, of course, like a healthy work life within such a demanding industry? What's it like working?
I think it's quite blissful, because working in cyber allows you to have flexible working. So I'm quite fortunate in terms of working my own hours. So I kind of get to do what I want to do on the outside, stay active, and then come back and do work. I'm also studying as well. I'm doing my master's as well.
Oh, wow.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah, just trying to balance all of that at the same time.
So I was going to say, it's so important, especially as women and being in the culture that we are in, to have that flexibility, I think, because I do know most of us do plan on having families, and having that flexibility in our lives, I guess, helps us to plan that career ahead.
Yeah.
But of course, moving on from that, what do you think companies can do to improve their diversity in tech?
I think definitely having more platforms for women to be able to access more information on what cyber really is, because when you think of cybersecurity, you automatically think hacking or cyber attacks. Yes. Although a lot of that is to do with that, but majority is preventing it. So I think it would be great to have more platform, more women actually speaking out. So there's a lot of platforms out there like Women in Tech conferences, Women in Data conferences. I think they're really good support networks to kind of go to, because when you attend them, they literally will help you kind of figure your career outcomes and stuff like that.
Is there any specific message that you got, or sort of something someone had said to you that stayed with you throughout the change in your roles and so on in tech?
Every role I've been in, cyber has been different, but the kind of same message that I've got each time is, no matter what field you're in, is always evolving. Yeah. So just kind of staying on top, as long as you know what you're doing and keeping up to date with the latest tech, because if you're not up to date with tech, like recently with the CrowdStrike stuff everyone has been going through, if you're not up to date with stuff like that, then...
Yeah, talking about that happened as well.
Yeah.
But of course, with these things that happen in tech, what would you say is the best thing that happened to you throughout the career? Like something that's changed your life? Would it be the degree? Would it be the job? Like, what was it that was like, wow, that was my moment?
Getting my degree.
Yeah.
That was such a wonderful sense of achievement, and definitely getting my first job in cyber as DLP analyst, which honestly changed everything, because if I didn't get that role, I honestly don't think I would be in a cyber position right now, because it is all about starting from the bottom. Like, get your degree, you're not going to be going into cyber straight away. You do have to work your way up. It's not just about qualifications. It is more about knowledge and experience. So if you can showcase that, then that's all you need, really.
I agree. But this is my last question to you. If there's anything you could tell our audience today, what would that be?
Stay up to date. You've got to stay up to date with everything. Definitely get your qualifications. And I think if there's anything right now for the kids to do, learn a coding language, because that's always going to come in handy no matter what, whether it's next year, in 5 years, in 10 years, that's always going to be a thing. Tech is the way forward. It's a secure way to be.
Yeah, moving from like all the careers, like the doctors, the lawyers and everything, I definitely think it is a career we should all think about. But thank you so much for being on the show today with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome.